Welcome back, NYC Fragrance family. Today I have a how-to video for any of you that are interested in starting a collection. 10 fragrances to build a designer collection. Now I'm going to show you 10 that I have, but I'm also going to throw in a couple of other ones, a couple of other ideas that come across my mind as I go through this. I'm sitting outside, so you're going to hear some noise. I'm in the big city, right? So we have buses, we got birds, we got dogs, we got a lot of things going on. But I wanted to do this outside. It's a nice day, so I figured why not, right? So basically I'm giving you types of fragrances and something to fit that bill to build a collection. Or I feel that if you have one of each of these fragrances, it will cover pretty much every area you might need. So the first fragrance that I think you need in the collection is a cheap everyday work fragrance. And my recommendation for that that I have in my collection is Dunhill Icon. Dunhill Icon is just grab and go. It's a simple citrus, slightly vetiver fragrance. Works well in the office safe, and works very well and comes in at a good price. I think for work, you don't want to spend, over $100, $200 on a fragrance that you need for work. Something that you can get for $40 or $50 probably works pretty well. So an everyday work scent is the first thing that I think you need in your collection. Second, a citrus fragrance, I think, is something that you need in your collection. And my recommendation for that is Givenchy Gentleman Cologne. Now this one, awesome bright citrus opening. It's one of the best summer fragrances, I think, in the designer realm that's out right now. And citruses are nice to have. There's tons of them out there. You can get tons of them really cheap. A lot of really good ones. You got fragrances like Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. That works pretty well. You had Dior Homme Cologne, which is now discontinued, but it's a great citrus fragrance as well. So there are choices out there. Acqua di Gio is a classic. It's aquatic. It's also citrusy. You know what I'm talking about. The next fragrance, I think, a masculine style fragrance you need in your collection is a vetiver fragrance. And for that recommendation, this one is probably the richest one from the line, and it's Lalique Encre Noir à l'Extrême. Now this fragrance is a strong fragrance. There are, you can go with the regular Encre Noir. It's a little lighter than this one. You can go with the Sport if you want a little bit of citrus and aquatic and a slightly more clean aquatic vibe with the vetiver. And there are other vetiver choices out there. You have Terre d'Hermès that you can definitely go out and get. If you want a fresher one, you get Terre d'Hermès or Eau Très Fraîche, and that could suit the bill for vetiver as well. So vetiver, another type of fragrance to have in your collection. The next one, this is probably the most difficult fragrance to have an appeal towards. It seems like a lot of these fragrances tend to get discontinued, but I still think you need to have one in a men's collection. And I'm talking about leather fragrances. So the fragrance I have here is John Varvatos Dark Rebel Rider. Now this one is starting to become harder to find. It definitely is. It's an intriguing leather fragrance. There are other leather fragrances you can get out there. You have CH Man Privé, but that one also is, I believe, getting discontinued. Don't quote me on that. But then you have, if you want to spend a little more money, you can get into stuff like Tom Ford Ombre Leather. You can get Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. I know it's in the Private Blends line, and some people may consider that to be niche. Tom Ford is designer as far as I'm concerned, whether it's the Signature Series or the Private Blends. So Tuscan Leather is probably the best leather fragrance you're going to get your nose on. And it's been emulated many times. So if you need a leather fragrance and you really want to save up, I would suggest getting Tuscan Leather. If you want it slightly more easier wear, go for the Ombre Leather. The next one I think you need in your collection is a floral fragrance. Now I tend to like Iris, and no brand as of late, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I know Dior Homme is very big with, you know, the Dior Homme line popularized Iris, but for me, an Iris fragrance has to be from Prada, and it's Prada L'Homme L'Eau. This is just a fantastic Iris and ginger fragrance. And I think you need to have it in your collection, or at least one from this line if you want a floral. Iris is a good way to go. It's nice and clean, it's fresh, it's not too strong. You know, rose could tend to be a little strong sometimes. The older school florals like carnation, you'll find in a lot of fougere fragrances or old school fragrances. Violet is actually a pretty good floral note to have in your fragrances. And you know, you have your Nerolis and your orange blossoms as well, which those fragrances give a little bit of sweetness and that slight citrusy vibe, which is a nice floral to have in your collection as well. The next type of fragrance I think you need is a gourmand. Now, the original gourmand or designer gourmand is Angel Men from Mugler, right? But I don't have that one, unfortunately. I do have some from the line, but I don't have the original. I think I should probably add it to the collection. But I do have Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo. I don't think you could get more gourmand than a fragrance that has a dessert note in it. Tiramisu. I mean, this is an edible fragrance. Sweet, very sweet, and very edible. Gourmand fragrances, very sexy fragrances. They're the ones that women tend to like a lot. They like the sweetness. You know, you're out on a date or you're getting close. They like the smell of that gourmand fragrance on you. So having a gourmand fragrance in the collection is very important. The next one for me is going into the same genre pretty much, right? Gourmand, date night, right? So now when we're talking about date night, my recommendation for my collection is Yves Saint Laurent there's the Y, Eau de Parfum. This fragrance is probably one of the best blue fragrances out there. I think blue fragrances cover date night like a blanket. The reason why, they have sweetness, but they have a seductiveness. They're just sexy fragrances. You know, if you get Bleu de Chanel fits this category as far as I'm concerned. Dylan Blue from Versace fits this category as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's very good to have fragrances like this because they're versatile too. But for date night, I think they're just sexy and seductive. You don't want something too over the top sharp, and you don't want to have something that's too subtle. You definitely want your date to smell you and to get good vibes from your smell. And I think YSL Eau de Parfum is perfect for that. So next one you need in your collection is a formal fragrance or a dress-up fragrance. And for me, for years, it was my signature scent, but to me it's the dress-up cologne, and it is Chanel Egoiste Platinum or Platinum Egoiste. Fragrances like this I consider for dress-up and formal wear. Now you can get something like Chanel Pour Monsieur. I would suggest like the original Armani was a really good dress-up fragrance. You don't see that talked about much. I think that one would be really good and suit a dress-up situation. Tuscan leather would be something that you would wear if you were dressing up, or maybe Tom Ford Oud Wood. I'm not the biggest fan. Like, I really don't get everything that everybody gets from Oud Wood, but I hear it talked about as being one of the dress-up fragrances. I don't want to put you off of not trying it. I think you should try it because it seems like a lot of people enjoy it and like it, so I think it's something that you should probably try. I don't have many designers that have this note, but I think you need it in the collection, and it's a tobacco fragrance. And the tobacco fragrance I'm recommending is Viktor & Rolf Spice Bomb Extreme. This is just a hand grenade Beautiful, spicy, warm tobacco fragrance. It's unreal. I would say Dolce & Gabbana, the One EDP, is probably another good designer tobacco fragrance that you could probably throw in the collection. But yeah, I think tobacco is something you should have in the collection. And I think once I do this, and if I get into doing this as a niche collection or a niche list, I have a lot more tobacco fragrances at my disposal that I would be able to recommend. As far as, you know, in designer realm, you also have maybe Mugler's Pure Havane. But again, these are brands, these are fragrances that seem to be drifting away. Now, I don't know how long they're going to be around, but hopefully you can still pick some of them up. You know, this Spice Bomb Extreme is still rather pricey. It's not a cheap fragrance, but it does sell well and it is still around. As far as I know, they only discontinued their fresh version, and all the other ones are still available. So the last fragrance, or type of fragrance, the 10th type of fragrance you need on building a collection, a designer collection, in my opinion, is an oud fragrance. Now, oud, as far as designers go, you're talking synthetic. It's not going to be pure oud, but you get good fragrances in a good vibe. And one of my favorites that I have, it's a simple 2-note fragrance. It's just amber and oud, and it's from the house of Louis Cardin, and it is Sama Al Emirat. Now, this one is kind of hard to get, unfortunately. I was able to contact Louis Cardin. They put me on to where I can pick it up, and we worked it out directly, and I paid them for the fragrance, and they shipped it to me, and I got it rather quickly. So you can get it through there. Other oud fragrances, I would say Versace's Oud Noir. We talked about Oud Wood or Tobacco Oud from Tom Ford, but those are private blends. Those are more expensive. I know Perry Ellis made some oud fragrances that were pretty decent. And there's some, you know, you could pick some up from Frank Olivier. He has Oud Touch, I believe, and Oud Vanille. If you could find those, they're pretty cheap, and they're actually pretty good from what I understand and from what I've heard. But again, I can't 100% recommend those. The only reason why I throw them in is because they're about $20. So if you had to take a chance on an oud fragrance, a $20 fragrance is probably the way to go. So I gave you 10 different types of fragrances to build a designer collection. I hope this was informative. I hope you took something away from this. And hopefully this helped you in some way. New viewers, thank you for stopping by. New subscribers, thank you for joining the NYC Fragrance family and my NYC Fragrance family. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you coming by. And until the next time, remember, if you smell good, you feel good. Have a nice day.